Good day, everyone. It is another fantastic Savage Race coverage morning, this time in Charlotte. My name's Matt B. Davis, and with me, as always, is one half of the running public, one quarter of the Race Brain podcast. It's Bracken Crocker. How are you, buddy?
Matt, I'm doing good. I'm happy to be doing this today. A little different for us, kind of exciting.
Yes, very different. But it's going to be amazing and magical and wonderful. And there are not as many top names as we've seen in recent races. But as you said, that means the door is wide open for some new folks.
That's right. Anytime the big dogs don't come out to play, everyone else gets their moment of the sun. And this is that moment. This is the day for someone to get their first act or their first podium, or maybe slip into a podium that they used to get. And these days they're not getting it as much anymore.
You mean like 12, 13, 14, those days?
Yeah, those days.
Those days. All right. Well, I say we get right into the action. What do you say?
I'm all about the action today, Matt.
All right. Well, let us get to it through the power of Grayskull. I mean, the power of what's it called? I bet I sound better now. That was a mistake earlier. It's okay. We roll with the punches here at Savage Race Broadcast. Let's see. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Let's get into it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's rock and roll.
All right. You ready for the magic to happen?
Magic me.
This is brought to you by Battle Bars. It's time to snack better. Fuel your fight with Battle Bars. For probiotics, maximum daily digestive, immune, and overall health support to suit your individual lifestyle. And by Hoist. It's more than a drink. It's IV level hydration equipment that's water fighter tested and battlefield approved.
Again, guys, no teamwork is given or received in a throwaway.
All right, here we go.
No teamwork. It is you versus you, you versus.
Right off the bat,
Yeah,
Sean Roberts jumps out.
Down though, a lot. There we go. Who else do you see?
Well, there's a couple people here. There's some people that this is their chance. You got Ethan Tucker, Brian Beal, David Krause, Luke Hayes, Brant Boggs, got Carl Fallish.
You know everybody.
Michael Garcia. This is the who's who when the top of the top are not there.
I'm Bracken. I know why you're here and why you get the big bucks, as we say. You know everybody.
I don't know everyone, but I try to keep tabs because I'm either working with some of them or they're competing against someone that I do work with or my buddy competes against. So got to keep tabs.
What do we know about this venue? Super flat, right?
Yeah, you talk Charlotte area and it's almost never going to have big steep climbs. This does look partially uphill here, but this is classic Carolina conditions right here, right? The grass is low, it's parched. You're not going to have a whole lot of slow running on this course. And Sean's immediately out to a lead and the chase is on. Question always is when there's one big top dog, does anyone go with or do they all run for second?
Well, our friend from the Navy team, remember him? I believe he's here today. I think he's going to go. That's the guy shirtless right there.
Michael Wagner.
Michael Wagner's here today. Yes.
Got Joe Cotto in the mix, I believe.
Yeah. So we're looking at Wagner right here. Or is that Cotto? No, that's the young man, right?
That is the third member of the broadcast. And look at this. Wagner's caught right back up to Sean Roberts.
Yeah. So there's Cotto.
Well, that answers question number one, which is, are they conceding to Sean Roberts early? Because Sean Roberts is, as we've talked about multiple times, maybe just the fastest flat runner in OCR as a whole right now. I mean, Hawk Call might have something to say about that, but in terms of pure foot speed, Sean Roberts is the class of any field he's in.
What do you notice with these two guys? Wegner's stride looks a little, I don't know, his legs are kind of flapping there, yeah?
Yeah, but that's like a quick turnover flap. There's bad flap, and then there's flap that's powerful, and he's got turnover. Look at him. He's re-raising Sean on some terrain here. When people have that type of drive forward, you know that they are a runner, that their background is running. It's not something else that then they found OCR. You can't fake it this far. We're 6 minutes into the race in terms of gun time. 6 minutes is long enough that if you aren't Sean Roberts' caliber, you can't hang with them this long.
Well, it's a little under 6 minutes. We had a little 30-second, ad start. So a little
True.
under 6 by that timer in the top.
We're about a
Sean
mile.
Sean just looks like a run. I mean, look at that. When he comes off
Yeah.
that, just long and lean.
But look at the aggression here.
But still a little upper body.
How aggressive we have Wagner coming back onto screen. He's not out here to run for second. He's getting off obstacles. And this is what we saw from him last time, right? He would lose some time on the obstacles that he's not as familiar with, and then he would accelerate hard right back into picture.
As they whip through Me So Thorny so quickly. Look at that.
These are those obstacles that sometimes you get a little break on, but when you're side by side with someone like these two that are
speaking of side by side, look at this.
Look at that.
You like this?
That's a thing of beauty, man.
Isn't it, though?
I love looking at that in slow motion because it highlights the type of athlete that these two men are. Sean Roberts is that smooth athleticism where he comes in and cruises right out, where Wagner comes in and he muscles his way out. Sean's a little smoother on everything.
I mean, look how quick that was. I mean,
that was. But watch how he's going to hit the ground and then just churn.
Oh, he missed the bell. Oh, there's valuable seconds.
There's no churn now. But he's a powerhouse. He appears to be, built sturdy, and he hits the ground and runs with strength, where Sean floats through everything.
Wasn't going to miss it that time.
No. And that speaks to the gap they put on his field where no one was in sight still. Sean gets to cruise his way through this, cool off a little bit.
Looks like they picked up the log there before this obstacle.
This. As a racer, I can't stand it. It's so tedious. But from a race director perspective, I love when they combine multiple pieces of obstacles together because it keeps things fresh and interesting. We hear innovation talked a lot about, Matt. This is a small way of keeping things fresh without having to create anything new.
Still carrying it.
All the way up to pedal for the metal. Have we seen this ever before? Have we ever seen a heavy carry into pedal for the metal?
No, they've definitely done the let's carry this thing for a mile or so.
Yeah.
But it's been at different places. But Lee and crew just like to keep it moving. They just like to keep changing it up, not just the rig, but the way they do this.
And it changes the way you have to bring the tire back. Now it's a one-handed exercise. It shakes things up a little bit.
Oh, looks like we have Kodo caught up. Is that Kodo? Yeah, Kodo in the headband. So that redo on that last obstacle.
Uh-oh, he forgot his tire. He's going to have to go back for it. See, he's losing valuable time. Put the log down. Is that allowable? Suppose it doesn't matter.
I guess that's where
extra distance. And there's a savage official right there. We're good. So now we see second and third together.
So this is Wegman on the right, Kodo on the left.
Yeah, Wagner and Kodo. Wagner looks like he's got those new Extreme 2s on. Are you running those, Matt?
I've only run on them once. I brought them to the last obstacle race I did. I think it was a Tough Mudder, so I didn't really get to run in it. So I can't say that I love it more or less than the original. The original is my favorite OCR shoe.
Okay. I think the most foot-shaped shoe offering from them yet. What you think?
I can't say Kodo looks like an obstacle racer.
Kodo's an interesting bird because he's been clearly stealing time on everything so far, and yet right there, Wagner took it back on the wall, and now we're catching Kodo's best work off screen.
Yeah, but we know his background, for example.
I don't know his background. Other than that, we've seen good performances at Savage from him before. And look at this, Wagner. When we hit power-based obstacles where you can just muscle your way through, Wagner does a good job of it. But he doesn't yet. Was that a tap there? He doesn't yet have that kind of how Sean showed us that get in, get out, steal seconds on the entry, on the obstacle, and on the exit. He's still muscling his way through these courses.
And look at valuable seconds here.
And he's clearly strong enough. You can't fake that type of thing. Get hung up on an obstacle, keep reaching out with your legs, and then still make it through. That means he's got all the pieces in place. Oh, and the instant replay shows us that. Those searching toes. Oh, that's tough. That's a lot of grip and a lot of core right there engaged. I look at someone like that and I say the future's bright. He can already run. He's got all the strength you could ever need for this thing, and he's clearly got the grit for it because he keeps coming back. So it's just about smoothing off the edges now.
Well, that one he didn't have any problems with.
No,
anchors away.
He's
and now we've caught up. Is that Sean we've caught up with or no?
Yeah, and Sean's the example of that. Do you remember our first time commentating one of his races back at, was it Ohio? And we just kept saying, look at this guy. He clearly can run, but he doesn't know how to run downhills. And then by the second downhill, he was learning downhills. And he had all the grip he could need, but he wasn't smooth on anything. Now he's as smooth as anyone. Less than a year later, and he's already figured out this OCR thing. And you just see the novice approach to this. I would suppose, Matt, if you came up to this for the first time, that would look like the backside of an obstacle to you.
Yes, I can see that.
And that is the thing about Savage Race. I feel like you can go to some of these other organizations and just engine your way through the race. Savage rewards having done it before and having perfected how to get in. Oh my goodness.
I mean, is there anybody quicker through that?
I don't think there's a quicker way than that. Do we get a fancy replay on that?
Let's see here. Let's see what the producers got for us. I can see Newell doing that faster.
And I don't know how much faster you could really go. It'd be tenths we're talking, because those quick laches through there and not even needing to spin that. This is a guy we were talking about not even a year ago. Oh, here we go.
Side by each. Here we go.
Side by side. Look at that. The only thing you could do better was that final little quarter turn, and that's nitpicking at that point.
Right. So
that was a thing of beauty.
5 seconds on that one.
That was awesome. Got some Kodo action here.
Yeah, by the way, Kodo and family of Kodo, don't be insulted that I said he doesn't have that lean body. He doesn't have a chiseled body. He just has a different kind of, just you wouldn't say, oh, OCR guy.
I like that right there.
What's that?
He started to do it, realized, but he knows he's in a mandatory completion lane of all obstacles here, and he didn't waste time. He immediately let go and started over, which is the way to do it. You don't want to get 30 seconds in and realize, I should have started.
Right. This is the second to last obstacle, which means Sean's already come through. And then after that, there's just an overwall, I believe.
Oh, this is tough. There are a lot of implements on here that give when you grab them.
So this is second place for him if he makes it.
Oh, hitting the truss. That is such a momentum killer. Oh, that's hard to watch.
So now we have second attempt, and then we've got
Wagner.
Wegner. I keep saying Wegman. It's Wegner, right?
And he does that 90 approach where he gets up. Now he's dropped down, but he starts obstacles with his elbows bent, relying on upper back and bicep to power through. And that's always safe, but it's tough to get momentum, which is why he's going down to that.
The despair.
You got to go extended arms to get any sort of swings going. The downside of going at 90 and muscling your way through is you can't really swing back and forth very well. Look at all these implements here. Give a little when you grab them.
And now here comes the pack.
And this is that danger spot, Matt. When you have someone next to you, you feel compelled to get back on it right away. Look at Wagner rush back and start. Koto's on his 5th attempt. Wagner's on his 3rd. They're rushing back to the start, and now your grip's gone.
But look who's coming in with amazing form.
Kevin Thompson. Is that Kevin Thompson flying through?
Yep. And he just earned himself 2nd.
And he didn't do anything fancy. He just kept that momentum moving, and he got
his
first try.
There he goes.
Steal 2nd place right there.
Right.
And this is the savage we know can happen.
This is what we've seen a lot on the women's field, right? A couple of women get there early, and then here comes that pack. 3rd place is open right now, he said.
Well, and this looks good. This guy's moving through here with some momentum.
And that's the rebel trucker himself.
Is that Beal?
There you go. Haven't seen him all race. Just earned himself a podium.
Beal, moving from probably 8th or 9th to 3rd.
And that's the young man. That's Ethan.
Ethan Tucker. And so everyone who went through had the same thing in common. They didn't do any crazy long swings, and they did no short swings. They kept even matched momentum the whole time.
So what do you think here, looking at this top 5?
I think Sean needs to bring the cornrows back. I like that look. I like when he has braids in.
Right.
Well, it played out 1st place as we expected it to. Sean's the class of the field, but he was pushed by Wagner from the start, which I didn't expect Sean to get pushed at all today. And Wagner, after what do you think, 75% of a fantastic race, ends up off the leaderboard entirely.
Right, but so did Koto.
Yeah, that's the brutal reality of savage races, that going for it sometimes means you wind up with none of it.
That's not very nice, right?
Yeah, I mean, Thompson, Beal, Tucker, they ran their own race. They obstacled hard, they smooth, they made it through and just scooted right onto the podium. They took care of business. Koto and Wagner they sent it, and they went home empty-handed.
All right, you ready to look at the women?
I am. And now, before we start,
yes, sir.
If we saw bits of carnage on the men's side, what are we in store for? Because the females have to do the male rig. I shouldn't say male rig. It is a savage rig. Men and women do the same rig, but less length on your limbs typically leads to more holdups. Are we going to see carnage?
Let's find out.
I think we're looking at carnage.
Let's find out.
And Chris Rogloski has done the unthinkable and not done a race today. I'm sure she's racing somewhere else today, but it is rare not to have her.
So do you see this, by the way? Instead of the obstacle wall, they're having them come in through the tubes. Your nemesis there. Look at that.
I would have DNS'd.
You're like, F this noise.
You guys can have that.
So I think the women are coming right. There we go. So there's Rachel. So that's Jessica Wong on the left, and that's Jess, the camera woman that we're hearing.
Rachel Waters on the stage left.
Right. Correct, I mean. And there is Heather, who is older than a lot of these women, let's say, holding it down for the OGs and the masters.
Always good to have some masters representation on the elite field.
Love it. And then that is, I believe, Yanez there in the, or I guess you'd call it maroon top.
Got Yanez.
Yanis or Yanez?
Yanis. I said Inez, but it could be Yanis.
Well, we could have
Tara Craig in there. Heather Cox, and they're off. Now, this is as wide open of a field as we've seen. I would say that Rachel Waters has to be the prohibitive favorite here. She's had more success in Savage and other OCR, probably combined more podiums than the rest of the field, which means that it's now her race to lose.
Bunch of fourths. Then she started getting on the podium, and then she finally had her first win earlier this year in Georgia, or was that last fall in Georgia? I apologize for not remembering.
There's so many with the spring, summer, fall approach of Savage. They start to blur together,
right?
As we saw. Now, the first person over the wall in the men's won the race. I don't want to read too far into it.
The person who wins the opening tip goes on to win Game 7 in 7 games. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
I believe they're asking her name. I guess they weren't as familiar with her as we were.
I love watching the elite women side by side with the back of the men's field, because you start to see how special they really are. They're moving these equal weights as faster than the men. Look at that transition out. Guy walks out, she's back up to speed. And Rachel's a monster.
Big ass cargo, Jessica's telling us. It's good to remember these obstacle names. That gentleman needs a tan. He is. This is his first time with the shirt off this year, I think.
I mean, welcome to the party. I'm as pale as it gets, Matt.
But look at you. You're wearing you wear a little hat there to keep your dome covered.
Yeah, I was at a soccer tournament this morning watching the niece play a little soccer, and he can't be out there as a bald man without a hat.
Is she aware? Is she aware of the pressure of being a family member of yours and the athletic prowess that goes along the lineage of your family?
I mean, that is very hyperbolic there. Can you use hyperbolic interchangeably with a hyperbolic chamber and to speak to hyperbole? Either way, I think she's going to do just fine standing on her own ground.
Okay.
She's the animal of the family. We call her the responder.
Nice.
She's just this little ripped monster.
Oh, little VJ shout out. So this is where we didn't see this for the men. This is where they got it. Obstacle 6. They got lumberjack and they carried it for 3 or 4 obstacles.
Oh, I love seeing this. Just flying past the men.
I believe Heather's 44. Just bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the 2 different hybrid, because we didn't see the what do you call it? What's the pedal for the metal? So
there's a lead here on Rachel, which is not what I expected to see. Rachel in third here. Moving back past. She's regaining the lead here. So something happened back there in the woods, and she had to play a little catch up. I don't know if it was a repeating.
Yeah, so there's Heather. There's Heather far screen. Do you see that? She's going through this a little bit more calculated. Ooh, she's needing to do the big swing there. Interesting.
Rachel hit the ground with some intensity there. A little bit of frustration of having to catch her lead back up that she'd already worked.
I don't know why Heather lost her momentum there and needed to do the big kip swing, because she's pretty fluent. Yeah, she's not that short, right?
Yeah, unless she just wanted to bypass the last few rungs. I'm not sure, though. Who knows the state of their hands coming into that? She might already be feeling the burn there. Now, this is tricky here. She comes up, guys are on every wall. She's got to find, all right, which one do I think is going to clear up first? And this is unfortunate, you know, because you're at the mercy of someone maybe getting hung up on the wall.
Yeah, this is one of those that were only like 10, 15 women in the elite heat. Just stick them all out there together.
Oh yeah, dump them in with the men. And I think that's always fantastic for the people.
Can we talk about the mane on this guy though on the right? I mean, that's some phenomenal hair.
It really is. And I know you get used to everything, but that would feel like a hindrance. Barbed wire, even just running. Although I sometimes have to put a t-shirt over my head and let it swing in back to keep the deer flies off my back. So maybe that would be helpful. Now Rachel's behind again here. Heather's back in the lead.
So much like Kodo, her best work is being hidden by the woods.
Yeah, maybe she's just on another level running today. There are those days where you just are clicking. Maybe she's clicking right now. Or maybe Rachel's having a tough day and she keeps obstacling back into things. It's the beauty of OCR. You get to rely on different things when one set isn't working for you. I think there's our answer. Heather's just running with some pace today that Rachel's not currently matching. Hopefully we get to watch Rachel come in.
See if we can get a clock on this, maybe.
That's just such a wide reach for these women coming through. And then right here, the guys can just reach up and grab it. She has to time the. It's a whole nother component to this obstacle. One that if you're 6 feet tall, you've never even thought about.
So that took her 35 seconds from the time she picked up, almost 36, by the time she picked up the, what do you call it? What do you call those things?
Rings.
Anchors. By the time she picked the first ring till dumping the ring, it was 35. So we'll put a clock here on old Rachel.
So this is starting to make sense. Rachel's coming in, walking a little earlier than Heather was, taking a measured approach on runs, and then flying through the obstacles. Heather was double grasping on each one of these where she's just touch and go. And she kept that ring in her hand, so she only has to knock one off.
All right. Well, there she lost a couple seconds, but it looks like she went through a little bit faster. What do we have?
She's going to be like 8. Yeah.
Look at that.
10 seconds faster.
Yeah. 27. Good call, Bracken. Look at that. Shout outs to the production truck doing an amazing job with these graphics and replays.
They're on their game today. So she's starting to run out of race here in terms of available time left to run Heather down. But the great equalizer is lurking at the finish line. We saw the men's race get torn apart 2nd through 5th place by that final rig. What are we going to see here on the female side? This is a deceptively difficult obstacle.
Can be.
It's one of those, the people who are good at it never think twice about it. And the moment you miss, you're like, what in the world? Now I have to think about the second toss, and the second toss gets tougher.
Oh. Oh, well, thank you, Jessica, a.k.a. Taps, for that in-race report.
Sounded like mile 4. Rachel still chasing Heather. No sign of 3rd place. Now, what I like about Savage is that they are using the terrain well. They could very easily make a cross country course and just stay out in the field the whole time. But they keep shooting you in and out of the woods, in and out of the trails. I appreciate that. This obstacle gets hot, Matt. It's not a game changer, but it gets uncomfortably warm.
Yeah, there's no one in sight. I mean, we're just
No.
alone here with Rachel. So this is one of those, will the rig allow for people to come back?
Well, and we've watched Rachel do this before. So she's no spring chicken. She knows exactly what side of the bread is buttered for her. And she knows that the obstacles are her ticket back into this. And since she's had these races where first place is out of sight, and then she comes back here, 90 seconds, definitely out of sight. But she's had experiences where she can't see the podium and then she wins, or she can't see it and then she comes back and takes top 2 or 3. She's the type of athlete that isn't going to just play the woe is me card. It's not my day. She's going to keep pushing. That was a strong entry into that obstacle. And if you don't do the Sean Roberts approach where you lâcher from wheel to wheel, that taking every wheel in the opposite direction, one to the right, one to the left, that is that best way of getting through the obstacle. I like this setup. I always like having this yank my chain. Am I correct here, Matt?
Correct.
Having it before a rig. I like having a little bit of grip taken out so that it makes things interesting afterwards.
Well, and you just did Wheel World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it starts to chip away. Not one of those things are impossible or even very hard for most of these athletes, but they start to wear you down little bit by bit. She's moving with purpose, though.
Yeah, I mean, she's done this too much to know, like, I don't care if I don't see her. I'm just going to keep running my race and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
She's never,
You can see
go ahead.
just the pace that she's putting down compared to the gentleman next to her in barbed wire, where her head's down and she is working rather than getting through. So to your point, she is not taking her foot off the gas. And here we are.
So Jess just told us Heather is on her second attempt there on the far right, and Rachel's about to try her first.
Now, a lot of the gentlemen got hung up because they weren't able to keep momentum. But the big issue I foresee happening on the female side here is look how high the bell is. Even if you make it through to that final ring, if you're 5 feet tall compared to 6, reaching up and out is a really tough ask. Those bells are up there. And so something as simple as bell placement is a game changer at a race like this.
Looking good on this one.
Yeah, she's seen every version of rig you can ever see. And even though she has a slight hiccup there, she looks like she knows how to move through this rig. There are good misses and misses, and I would say that qualifies as a good miss. She wasn't hanging on there for 20 seconds, stalled out.
Yeah, you just gotta know the battle's over. Go get it again.
Yeah, she moved through just fine. That nunchuck hanging there did not feel the way she expected it to feel. Now she felt it. Now she'll move through. Where Heather is really starting out. This is probably her 5th attempt. Oh, there I go. Eat my words. Rachel had a second.
Hey, let's learn a little bit more about these two people.
Look at you. Let's crank that volume.
And look at this blast from the past. Heather Golnick, Iron Man.
I wish I would have heard the package because what was the intro to this? Wow.
So this is 15 years ago, and she's still. Look at that. Gotta love that. Come on.
That's outrageous at the end of a triathlon. Heather is one of those athletes.
Oh,
that
look
I
at
would-
that. Madison.
Yeah. And Ironman Wisconsin is notoriously brutal. So I would put Heather in the group of people who found the sport when they were on the tail end of their prime. She might have even been past her prime. If she's 20 entering the sport rather than 38, 40, she I think is probably up there for a world championship. And we started to have the queue build up. Got 5 women all waiting here. And Rachel's still struggling. As is everyone.
All right, so Inez is back, or Ines. What did you call her? I'm sorry.
I call her Inez.
So she's back. And we've got a woman we haven't seen before. That's Amy Flint between those two, another 40-plus athlete.
So Heather has progressed to grabbing above the implement, which is always a point of contention in OCR. And that is just, I mean, she's got a smile on her face, but that is just such a brutal place to be in a race.
So yeah, this is Amy Flint.
Flint Tropics is what I would go with. Oh, this is looking promising. She's the first one I've seen get a grip on that blue nunchuck without coming off. She's gonna have to choke up and just really get a second hand on there.
Oh
man. She stares it down. That's been the most seen attempt thus far, though.
Here comes Jess here, far right.
Now she's long. She's probably has the most wingspan of any female we've seen come through here yet. So if she does manage to make
she's
it,
she's hanging forever though.
She is. If she can get to the last one, she's got the wingspan necessary. But it's getting off this. This
is first place.
Here.
This is first place for Jessica Wong.
But once you stall out here, it's pretty much over.
So there she is. Also looks good.
Yeah, she's moving with purpose through here. I like that grabbing at the bottom there and the crux of it. Oh. Those last 2 transitions are just brutal. Now, we haven't seen Rachel attempt in a while.
She's, I think, she's sitting down. She's really waiting.
Which, if you take a look big picture, is very likely to pay off.
Yeah.
When you're not up there fighting
looks like this is it.
Oh, all right. One big reach left. And she's through. So there it pays off. She didn't decide to go mano-a-mano and try to go every time someone else went. She took her time, got her grip right, and then it paid off.
Look at that smile.
And another win.
Another W. Rachel Waters, nice job.
Nothing easy about this one. Heather made her work the runs all day, and that last rig really made her dig deep. So the question becomes, Matt, how long until we see a second finisher?
Well, there goes Amy. There's Jessica Wong again.
That's a tough angle to fall from.
Yeah, she seems to just miss right there. Was she trying to skip one, or is that the actual
Yeah, she's
thing?
trying to
Well,
bypass the nunchuck.
so it looks like this was it. Amy made it through a couple tries later, and then this was it, Bracken. These women are the only two finishers. We were often asking, will there ever be an unfilled podium? And here we've got one.
So we got Amy snuck through 30 minutes after Rachel. 30 minutes of retries, and we never got a third.
I mean, they were
I don't
on
know.
there.
I don't know what's more impressive, not getting a third or the fact that Amy stuck with it for a half hour and then made it.
Well, let's say she was, what do you think? 8 minutes behind to begin with, maybe? Or I don't know what the gap was when she got there, right?
Maybe, but Rachel made it when Amy had already attempted one.
Right.
Which means
Unless perhaps I messed up, but it's somewhere around there.
No, I mean that is tough. So I've been stuck on a rig before. I was at one of the old school Battle Frogs. I made it through what I kept retrying, and then my grip was fried. And I ended up sitting for probably 6 or 8 minutes with no attempts before I could make my next one. And it was miserable. And I was to the point where I thought, I'll sit for 6 or 8 minutes and I'll make one attempt and then I'm out of here. Win, lose, or draw, this is it.
And is that what happened?
Yeah, luckily I made it through. But had I missed, I don't think I had it in me to do that again and then take another 5 minutes and then try again. The fact that she waited 30 minutes and made it is impressive.
Well, this race was not part of the point series, but the big one is coming. The do or die, right? The last race of the year for the points is next, right? Ohio?
Is there one more after Ohio?
Hang on. Sorry. My mistake. Let me pull this up.
Ohio, though, for some people is do or die. Because if they are not the fleetest of foot, this is the last time that they're going to have rough terrain. This is a ski hill.
So we've got Ohio on 618.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the last points win, or Chicago the last one?
Ohio might be it.
We should know these things. Let's pull up the point series. My mistake for not
Where's the
knowing
truck? The truck should have a graphic for this.
I know. Hang on. The truck is working on it. Single events. Here's the leaderboard. Okay, the last race is June 18th in Ohio. Isn't that what I said?
Yeah.
And so
I threw you off.
Yeah. So that's the next race. So why don't you want to have one more look at the leaderboard before we get there?
Let's
look at the men first. So who do you think's gonna take it?
This is going to be fascinating because this race is not the standard Savage race. This is the farthest to the end of the spectrum that Savage has. It's on a Midwest ski hill, which it's not a mountain, but it is steep. So it's steep enough and just long enough that it's multi-minute power hiking climbs for some people. That might favor an Aaron Newell. Obviously, Ryan Kempson is good in mountains. He's got an OCR World Championship 15K in Vermont, in Stratton, to his resume. So he can clearly run one. But Aaron Newell's hot right now. He's coming on. His fitness is improving. We haven't seen Alvaro in the mountains in a long time. And Sean Roberts, we haven't seen him on a mountain in a long time. So I'm personally fascinated by this because realistically, there's 4 people who could all win it.
Well, let's take a look at the women.
Do you have a prediction?
Oh, do I have a prediction? Let's go back here. I mean, I think it'd be foolish to bet against Kempson. I think the battle's going to be for the rest of the podium. Yeah.
I think that if you were betting Kempson or the field to win, it might be even money that maybe it's even better to take the field. But the fact that he has a 3-point lead means you're betting on him not to take a podium spot.
Right. So something disastrous would have to happen.
Yeah. He may not win, but I don't see him not taking top 3.
So now I'll have a look at the women. Can anyone stop Chris Rogloski should be the question first.
Yes, but they're not on this list.
Oh, was that a mic drop?
No, that's no disrespect to the list. It shows how high Chris has risen in this sport. For someone to, I mean, she just took what? 3rd place at the Big Bear race, which is going to be steeper, longer, and at higher altitude than this. it's going to take one of the Mount Rushmore applicants to beat her. It's going to take a Lindsay. It's going to take a Emma. It's going to take a healthy, who am I thinking of here, Matt? Nicole Miracle. It's going to take one of those three, that style of athlete, to beat her.
Right. And then very interesting with a three-way tie, right?
Mhm.
So Miranda, Jareen, and Chrissy have to beat each other, right? That's kind of a no-brainer. But if one of those gals has a DNF, which is possible with these rigs, right?
Yeah.
Here comes Jamie, here comes Rachel.
Jamie and Rachel are just hoping that Miranda, Jareen, and Chrissy destroy each other and two people get kicked out the back. Miranda's upset. Miranda doesn't like how this series played out. She doesn't like that her first race of the year determined her second place ceiling.
Right.
She thinks, I want tournament play right now. I'm hot right now. I'm coming into the postseason. Let's have a fresh slate. She doesn't get it. So I think she's going to be running with a little bit of frustration out on that course.
Well, listen, this was a hoot and a holler. I really enjoyed myself. Did you enjoy yourself?
Anytime I spend with you, I enjoy, man.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here from, what did I say it was? Potter Farms? I apologize. I always forget the names of these things. The farm here in Charlotte, nearby Charlotte. We will see you in, how many weeks is this? 6/18. Wait, that's 2 weeks. I keep thinking it's May. This race is about to, we're going to crown the first ever series champion.
2 weeks from now. Unbelievable.
You should go. You don't even live that far.
I don't live that far.
How many hours by car?
Oh, probably 8.
Oh, farther than I thought. All right, we'll get on a plane.
Ohio is practically East Coast.
Okay, we'll have that argument later. For all the good folks at Savage, especially our camera rabbits, Rachel and Jess, aka Taps. I'm Matt, with always Asmi with me, Bracken. We'll see you next time, everybody.
See you in Ohio.